One of the common words in Nigeria since July 2016, when the National Bureau of Statistics announced the figures indicating the state of the economy for the second quarter of the year, is recession. In spite of how often it's being used, it means different things to different strata of the economy. This episode of Big Story explores how Nigerians are reacting to the austere state of the economy and, more importantly, the efforts of the federal government to get the country out of the woods. Welcome, I'm Amy Thompson. Bariga, a suburb in Shomolu local government area of Lagos. Life here could be compared to communities located in the outskirts of the state, although this is one of the communities bordered at one end by the Third Mainland Bridge. This is where retired citizens Mr. and Mrs. Alabi Sunday live, and they've been here for about 2 decades. After retirement from the civil service, they have in the last 6 years earned their living by selling food, but not varieties, just beans.
This beans is relished by many, especially school children. It can be eaten with gari or bread.
For the smooth running of the business, the couple say it's jointly owned and run. And there's no place for demarcation between the role of a man and a woman.
When
a man is advanced in age, he should support his wife so she doesn't get tired easily.
They say they've been happy and relatively comfortable until recent times when prices have increased.
2002
This costs 2,200 naira. It used to be 1,900 naira. Everything is very expensive now, so the palm oil sellers have also increased the price of oil.
They've also had to evolve a survival strategy.
I have adjusted the quantity of beans to meet up with the high cost of cooking ingredients.
The setting is different, but the complaint is the same in the home of Mr. and Mrs. Lekon Owoduni in Ogba area of Lagos.
There is no more food for common man, because gone in those days I would believe maybe gari, granite is a food for poor man. Now there is nothing for any poor man, because even a plastic of gari that used to cost 150 is now 600-700 naira. So there is no common man that can afford that one. When the price of yam was really high, instead of buying yam, I buy potatoes. So you can easily improvise. So at times, instead of buying bread, maybe you just go for pap. So just look inward and see what you really need. Like the price of sausage, since it has gone up, we had to cut off sausage, maybe once in a while.
The cost of feeding now, even to feed our dogs. Prior to this time, we're spending about 10,000 naira, 8,000 naira to feed the dogs. But now, she went back to the market the other time, 20-something thousand naira. You want to talk of the cost of fuel? Oh, I don't buy fuel as well. But what I do is I prioritize things. I put the SUV down, ride on B2, or ride on with the car, smaller car with little fuel. When the situation, I'm not selling those cars, but when the situation improves, when I can afford it, I do it. Or I prioritize my movement. I don't just go out anyhow. You want to talk of cost of the telephone bills I run. I measure the kind of people I call. Now, when you call, like, oh, I'm not exchanging pleasantly, I go straight to the point.
For their twin daughters, Taye and Kendi, the government should soft pedal on some of its policy implementation at a time like this.
When you're demolishing buildings, first, people that want to purchase their products, if they don't have there's some people that if you don't have a stable place, they don't patronize you. They feel when you don't have a stable place, your business is rubbish. That means your business is not solid. That maybe it's all this 419 business. But that's part of it. We have this set of people, and we have some set of people that are loyal to the core. Whatever happens, they will stand by you. So if you join them together, is money, they're out of job. There's no money flowing because some particular customers don't want to come to a business that is not fully furnished. So that's part of it. You see, they relapsed in their business. So that had the recession. And whereby they are drained, the other customers are not getting good products. Do you understand? So that makes everybody all cranky up and down and say, okay, I can't do this any longer. When you have your own business, you have to put certain things in place. And if before, maybe like 2 years ago, if I'll say, okay, this is capital for my business, like 50,000 naira. Right now, that 50,000 naira is nothing. Right now, I have to double it to like 200 or 150 because things have gone up. Certain things you need, like building, like things to make what you need, everything, stuff you pay. People are grumpy now. People don't have to work. You have to encourage them with a lot of money to actually do work. So you can imagine if I was to pay someone 10,000 naira to clean now, that 10,000 has to be like 15,000 or 20,000, and they may not even still do the work well. So I just think everything's it just makes people confused and scared. And some people are just literally they've given up. Some people don't mind just coming in front of the road and trailer eating them, and that's the end. They really don't mind.
However, there are individuals who are skeptical about the whole recession talk.
It's a political recession that we have in Nigeria. What I mean by political recession is that we have wrong set of people in cabinet. The president needs to look inward, put the right people in the right places, and everything will be okay. Bad government policies affect our currencies and affect manufacturing industry, and that is where a lot of people are thrown out of jobs. Once those things are put back in places, everything will come back to normal.
Economists are always on hand to explain how the country could be if the right decisions were taken.
Wrong policy choices in the past 15 months. And because there are things we ought to have done that we didn't do. And we have created uncertainty in the economy. There's so much uncertainty. In other words, government actions which were in the wrong direction, adoption of failed policies which took place, and then some government missteps.
Corruption can be a cause of recession. And that is what has been going on in this country, not only in the last 16 years, since. I've been involved in Nigerian politics since when I was in grammar school. And I know corruption is there. Today, corruption has become part of our society. It has become acceptable.
It's not just the action or inaction of the government that can be traced to the recession, according to Mr. Aziz Bello. The people have also contributed.
How do you transit from being dependent? Like Pat Tutomi said, he said we are suffering from what he called pre-blendanism, which is when you go for Holy Communion, all you do is open your mouth, they put the bread, they put the wine, and you just swallow. That's pre-blend. That's what we want to translate into our real life.
And there are actions which can be described as sabotage, which has added to the dwindling fortunes of the Nigerian economy.
One of the key reasons why we're in a recession, as you know, is the fact that we lost almost 60% of our revenue due to the vandalization of the pipelines in the Niger Delta.
Even before the national revenue goes up, as a farmer, Mr. Bello says it's a rather good time for him.
For our Greek, it's a positive development because we are forced to now look inward and see what we can produce. All these potentials that we have are now coming up.
Through the eyes of the Commissioner of Commerce for Ogun State, even more people and sectors could benefit from the recession with careful, well-implemented strategies.
There are so many multinational companies that cannot repatriate their funds out of this country. So how do we take advantage of that? It will encourage them to expand. They buy more lands, they expand their production, and it creates more jobs for our people. And how do we now do that? Is to encourage this so-called backward integration in the sense that we need to grow more. I mean, look at starch. Starch is needed in commercial countries in this country. The extract of starch comes from cassava. Now, if we can have so many of our farmers growing cassava, I'll give you a good example. Ethanol, the first ethanol factory was commissioned about 2 years ago. They take an average of 280 tons of cassava on a daily basis and they pay cash to our farmers. It created jobs for about 15,000 farmers in this country. So what I'm saying basically is that we need to now start looking inward, seeing how we can do that and stop being dependent on the economy. Then we need to protect our local industries. How do we do that? We stop importing any goods that can be produced in this country and is being imported. We raise the tariff by probably about 100%. It will discourage them from bringing them into this country. Then we encourage our local industries when we protect them, we encourage them to be able to produce those goods and services. Then we need to make funds available for our teeming young unemployed graduates.